in the context of any AI solution you want to build. Not just Copilot. Any agent you build out there, you can now use Work IQ. Think about that. The second thing we've done is, in fact, one of the other ubiquitous tools all over is Excel and Power BI. So that means you've taken real great pain over decades building these semantic models to do analysis. And now with Fabric and Fabric IQ, you can take all of that data, along with all the operational data, and make it available to your AI. And then the last one sort of really makes it all come together. So what we've done with Foundry IQ is said what people describe as retrieval augmented generation, right? So one of the biggest things that we have done in the last couple of years as we build these AI solutions is to do retrieval of data. And we've now built the next generation retrieval system, essentially. It does more than retrieval. It, in fact, plans and executes and reasons that plan, over that plan on how to retrieve relevant data from Work IQ, Fabric IQ, and any other blob storage, unstructured storage, or what have you, and bring it in the context of your AI application. So that's what this IQ layer is. In fact, it's probably one of the more salient yet important pieces on how anyone who builds any AI solution going forward will be most successful, right? In fact, direct correlation between the evaluations or the sort of performance of your models will be how good is your data being brought. Just because in some sense models are becoming, quite frankly, a commodity, right? So there is lots and lots of models out there which are very, very capable. The question is, how do you marshal that capability? I think it'll come down to having a great experience layer where people can discover the agents you're building and having a fantastic sort of capability around context engineering. So the next layer for us is really about, now that we have an experience layer, we have the data set up, let's build agents, right? And the beauty of building agents, quite frankly, is like building spreadsheets or writing a document. It's not more mystical than that. In fact, Agent Builder that's built right into Copilot is like saying, hey, doc new, right? Or spreadsheet new. And so we start there. In fact, now we have an app builder. So, in fact, Bill's big thing always, ever since I joined Microsoft in the early 90s, was why the heck do I have a difference between a document, a website, and an application? Like, his concept was there should just be one thing, and I should be able to transform. And guess what? We finally have it, which is App Builder. You can go in and just specify the app you want to build, and it'll build it. It's kind of like a document, it's kind of like a website, it's kind of like an app, right? So that's the power. Then Copilot Studio is another way to think of it as build out of your agent. So again, as you're using a natural language prompt, you can go build an agent, you can ground it in some data, and there you have it. You have an agent. And so we are building out Foundry, in fact, without any cliffs, to be able to then say, okay, we now have agents. Can I even orchestrate multiple agents and build full agentic systems? Microsoft Foundry allows you to do that as well, because the multi-agent frameworks are there, all of the tools that you need in order to be able to build multi-agentic systems are there. We also now, of course, have all these models. We have 11,000 models. You say, why do I need 11,000 models? In fact, even for me this week, it is a great reminder of why having this diversity of models is going to really make this world a better place. In fact, we launched and we announced in Foundry as an open weight model, a model called GigaTime. There was an article published in Cell. And quite frankly, it gave me goosebumps when I sort of read about it and learned about it. Because it's work Microsoft did with both the University of Washington as well as Providence hospitals. And what it does is, if you think about the challenge of someone with cancer, today, when you sort of try to understand whether immunotherapy will work, you kind of have to model the immune system, essentially. And so there's a test for that. The problem with that test is, it's a complex test, it takes a long time, and it costs a lot of money. And so what this particular model does is, it does a simulation of the test. So you can literally take a simple pathology of the tumor, right? So that's literally like a microscope image of a tumor, and then use essentially Gen AI to fill in. So it will do the simulation of what is the basically spatial proteomics of the immune system and say you now can have a test. So I was thinking about it, right? With that model, that means some entrepreneur in Mumbai is going to pick it up and say, you know what, I'm going to build an entire sort of simulation lab in silico and make it available to every city in Maharashtra and in this country, right? So every hospital can start doing what now today is done in the few tier 1 hospitals and costs a lot of money. That's, in some sense, when you're playing the game, sometimes you forget why you're playing it. This is why we are playing it. We are playing it so that we can actually use this innovation to make a real difference in the world. So it's exciting to see how this is all coming together. Now, we're bringing, as I said, all this together in this tool chain. This tool chain is going to become what you will use. In fact, GitHub is where you would start interfacing with all of this app stack, right? So if you think of the new app server as Foundry, the tools are Visual Studio and VS Code and GitHub. And talking about GitHub, it's really exciting to see the growth of GitHub in India. It's tremendous. By 2030, India is expected to be the #1 country in terms of GitHub participation. It's tremendous to see not only just the participation, but the ambition level of the projects coming out of India, just continuing to improve and get better. And so it's fantastic to see that. Now, we're building out GitHub, by the way, as Agent HQ. So what I mean by that is you go to GitHub and you will have access to all the coding models that you can use in the context of your repo. And so that's the idea. It's not about sort of having one model, but you have your code repo, just like Work IQ. Think of this as Code IQ, right? So that's kind of really it. Like your code is your most important resource. You want that. And then you want many, many models over the years to sort of keep working and creating more of that repo and the repo features. And so that's what, and by the way, the form factors, right? If people say, oh, wow, will I only use autonomous agents? Will I use only an IDE with agent mode? Will I use a command line? Guess what? I use all three all day long, right? I mean, that's it. Like the form factors of how I interface with AI are going to remain essentially always some IDE, some CLI interface, and a new chat interface, if you will. And that, I think, is the way you'll interact with it. But to show you all of this in its full glory, I wanted to invite up on stage my colleague Karan. Karan, take it away.
Thanks, Satya. A few weeks ago at GitHub Universe, we announced Agent HQ, which is an agentic platform that unites every agent, making them native to the GitHub flow you're already familiar with. So let me show you a demo of what that looks like. All right. So I have a demo app here that's a storefront for some of the nostalgic toys which might have been common in many of our households. However, as you can see, the app doesn't really have any search or filter options, and I want to add that functionality. So I have my code repo here on GitHub. With the new Agents panel, I can now kick off an agentic task from anywhere on GitHub by just describing the task and delegating it to the Copilot coding agent. So Copilot starts working on it in the background. I can assign a task to Copilot from anywhere I work, on github.com, in VS Code, in the CLI, or even on my mobile. All right, while working across multiple repositories and tasks, I have delegated many of these tasks to Copilot, and I want to know what's going on with it. So now I can see all of my agent sessions in a single mission control view, both ongoing as well as completed ones over here. Not just that, I can also start off a task from right here while using custom agents that I have created or have been built by partners. So these custom agents are domain experts which extend the Copilot coding agent across all of your tools and workflows. All right, so let's dive into the session that we just kicked off and see what Copilot is working on. So I can see the progress of Copilot here on the left and also the draft PR on the right. So I'm a developer, so which means I am still in control. So I can even steer an ongoing session midway to have Copilot work in a slightly different direction. So this will take a few minutes, so I'll let Copilot continue working on that in the background. But I want to show you one of the agent sessions I kicked off earlier for the same feature. So I can see it's completed, and then there's a summary as well, and nice screenshots as well, thanks to the Playwright MCP. I can also take a look at the files it has changed over here and also ask it for any change if I need right over here. All right, amidst all of this, if I want to have a chat with Copilot to ask it something or so, I can jump into Copilot chat right here as well. So Copilot provides me a choice of various different models from different providers, including GPT 5.2, which just launched last night and already available on GitHub Copilot. That's how fast it is. And yeah, all right, not just that, I can also bring in my own models from Microsoft Foundry. So I have a few models that I've deployed on Microsoft Foundry, including a couple of them that I had fine-tuned myself. And I have brought in all of these models to Copilot by connecting them to my deployments in Foundry. So now I can actually use all of these models directly within Copilot, be it on GitHub or VS Code. Now, I was just doing something, and I fine-tuned one of the model just for fun to see if it can converse almost like a developer, in Mumbai. So I just asked it something simple saying, what is Kubernetes? Ye pods, nodes, kuch samajh mein nahi aata hai. And this is coming, and it says simple language mein samjho, this is what containers are, this is what Kubernetes is. And it's so awesome, right? Because this is coming from my own model that's deployed on Foundry, which I can use in Copilot, right? That's pretty awesome. All right, so speaking of deployments and everything, I had also created a PR to implement a new product detail page, sometime earlier, and I can see that Copilot has already reviewed my PR and also left a few comments on it. So let's take a look at some of these suggestions it has left, like this one here, which speaks about DB connection pool exhaustion, or this one right here, which speaks about type safety. So this is the new agentic Copilot code review, which combines LLM detections, tool calling, and also deterministic scans that help you with smarter reviews. Not just that, I can actually ask Copilot to help me implement all of these suggestions in a single PR, which will again kick off an agentic task for me. All right, we all know how important security is, right? So thankfully, I'm also a security admin for this account on GitHub. So with the new integration between Microsoft Defender for Cloud and GitHub Advanced Security, I can now specifically filter for runtime risk issues in production that have been identified by Defender, all right, right here. So that's really nice, and a campaign to address all of these alerts was created, and oops, I see some of them in my repo as well, but not to worry, because Copilot can also help me fix these security issues. So I can just select all of these and then say, assign to Copilot. And then Copilot will go off and then create a PR to address all of these security issues. All right, so now we have multiple different agents working on different tasks in the background, but I want to write some code myself as well. So here is the agent session for the search and filter function that we were looking at earlier, and I want to make some changes to it. So I can continue iterating with this by opening this directly in VS Code, which will open up the session for me. So I can either check out the branch or even apply the changes directly in my current branch, and I can continue working. So I will open up the familiar chat interface here in VS Code, and I'll switch to my agent mode, probably use one of the models I deployed from Foundry, and I will ask it to make one small change, which is I also want an autocomplete feature for the search bar as well. So this can continue working in the background, and you would have seen that just like on github.com, I also have a mission control view in VS Code as well, where I can see all of my local agents, my cloud agents, my background agents, which is running as well. All right, so I want to implement a new feature. The toys are great, but I want to make a bundle of it and almost gift them as a play box. I know many of you would love that as well, right? But I need to plan how to go about implementing it. So with the new plan agent in VS Code, I can ask Copilot to create an implementation plan and also keep iterating with it until I am confident and ready with it. So I had created one of this plan earlier as well, which I'll just open up right over here. So you can see it gives me a detailed plan for all the steps that needs to be accomplished. So whenever I'm ready, I can kind of continue coding this, or I can hand it off to an agent as well to work on it in the background. So I can hand it off to the CLI agent, and I will say, include the changes